Time for United States of Europe making fun of the EU the American way. Welcome to United States of Europe, because EU news is news too. I'm your host, Greg Shapiro. American first, Netherlander second. We are committed to giving EU leaders the respect they deserve by ridiculing them on a regular basis. So let's get started with the headlines. Time for the EU update in 5 jokes. Britain voting to leave the European Union, voters electing more and more anti-European leaders. Is there anyone who can still unite all of Europe? Thank you, Donald Trump. As the United States unilaterally slapped tariffs on steel and aluminum, all 28 EU countries, even the Trumpy ones, have agreed to retaliate with tariffs on everything from American yachts to bourbon to Harley Davidsons. Basically, everything but the kitchen sink. Correction, also the kitchen sink. By slapping tariffs on America's closest trading partners, some of the immediate winners are America's neighbors like Mexico. Donald Trump said, "I want to make sure that Mexico gets as much of our money as possible so that they can start paying for the wall." Europe's new GDPR rules came into effect, giving internet users an unprecedented amount of control over how tech giants like Facebook can use their personal data, including denying any access at all, in a process called the right to be forgotten. US tech companies celebrated as most users immediately applied the right to be forgotten to the details of the terms and conditions they just clicked on. Everybody was like, wait, I could have made sure they can't sell any of my data? Whatever, click. Ireland took another step away from its strict Catholic past as 66% of the Republic voted to legalize abortion. The same week that Pope Francis said homosexuality is no longer a sin. The rest of the Catholic Church was unavailable for comment as they were busy locking themselves in a cabinet until it could be turned into a time machine that would take them back to the 1950s. In France, perhaps you've seen Malian immigrant Mamadou Gassama in his heroic rescue of a 4-year-old hanging from a balcony, and French President Emmanuel Macron granting Gassama French citizenship for his efforts. To sum up French immigration policy, yes, do this, don't do this. Since Macron's gesture, climbing practice has begun. Immigrants from all around the world have been auditioning, leading to a record number of 911 calls. Meanwhile, in the UK, this man saved 2 children from a Manchester fire, and yet he is to be deported. The British Home Office said the man did not meet the proper requirements of climbing up 4 stories unassisted, videotaping himself doing it, and becoming an internet sensation, as well as joining Britain's new reality show, Illegals Got Talent. And it's not all bad news for trade between the US and EU, as Apple has announced Volkswagen as its partner for its driverless vehicle program. Now, every time you click on Apple's terms and conditions, you get a free dirty diesel car that Volkswagen couldn't unload 3 years ago. EU citizens replied, hey, at least it wasn't another free U2 album. And in Southern Europe, some say politics is like the weather in Northern Europe. If you don't like it, just wait 5 minutes. In Spain, Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy was ousted after accusations of corruption. Now, Spanish fans of corruption will just have to make themselves happy with watching the Champions League. And in Italy, forming a coalition is rather like buying a washing machine from Zanussi. You get the feeling it wasn't meant to last a whole 4 years, and if we're being honest, the only thing it really seems good at is the spin cycle. The latest coalition in Italy promises expulsion of 500,000 migrants and an end to sanctions on Russia. Really, Italy? You can bribe Russia all you want. You're still not going to the World Cup. In fact, Italy, if there's any lesson to be learned here, it should be that if you would have allowed a couple of more migrants in, you might actually be going to the World Cup.